morning, San Diego.
Good morning.
It is Monday, I believe. Monday the 19th. Monday, August 19th.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. All right.
2024.
2024. Hope you're all doing well wherever you are. Welcome to episode 12 of the San Diego Real Estate Show.
That's a lot of episodes.
We're making progress.
Not nearly enough.
Not nearly enough, but we're getting there. So, as we promised, we have a special show for you today. We're going to talk about all of the changes, quote, of the recent NAR settlement agreement and everything else. We're going to give you all the details on that, as well as the market update, which I think we'll get into right now because everything else is going to be quite lengthy. This might be breaking into 2 episodes. We'll see how far we get without.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to unpack, but we're going to try and make it as simple as possible for you because it truly is.
It
not
is
that complicated.
That is correct, but there's been so much hype about it that we want to get you the facts so that you can make an informed decision going forward. All right, so that being said, Cody, what do you have for us today?
We have a market update.
Yes, we do.
Holy crap.
That is shocking.
Wow.
You're doing well, folks. All right, let's do some month supply today through Del Mar, Carmel Valley, San Diego as a whole, and La Jolla as well. We're going to take a look at what's on the market currently.
All right.
Okay, so here we go. For San Diego County, the actives currently active on the MLS, these are pulled from the CRMLS.
Gotcha.
There are 4,698 actives throughout. This is attached and detached throughout San Diego County. The pending number of those are 2,357. So 4,698 total actives, 2,357 pendings. That is in San Diego County. La Jolla has a total of 45 pendings and 154 actives. Del Mar has 24 pendings and 44 actives. I just want to do a quick smattering, okay? So there are
only 44 homes in Del Mar.
active on the market.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much is that a big increase countywide from like a month ago?
Well, let's say on Friday when I pulled those numbers, there was 45. So one went pending over the weekend.
My gosh.
Some lucky Del Mar.
Some lucky dude bought a new house in Del Mar.
All right,
There
cool.
you go.
Now, for month supply in San Diego County, we have it split up between detached and attached. There are 2.3 months of supply in San Diego County, and there are 2.6 months of attached in San Diego County. So condos and detached.
That's not much.
All right, and then Carmel Valley, detached, 2 months worth of inventory, and attached is 3.3 months. We're making it through this quick. I'm giving you all the time. Del Mar, detached, 4.6 months of inventory. Attached, 2.5 months. Looking at La Jolla, you've got a detached of 5.4 months and attached 3.3 months of inventory.
A little bit slower in La Jolla.
There you go.
So if anyone's listening, what that means is it's essentially the month supply. If nothing new came on the market at the rate that things are moving, that's a lot about how long it would take for everything to be sold. That's what we're talking about with month supply.
Yep, that would be it. All right, and that is about it. We don't have our typical San Diego County market update at this moment because we got an off week. We have already read what is out there.
The stats for the month. So
Yep.
in another week, we'll have the new stats for the month of August, folks. And,
There you go.
There we go.
Cody
And
will be
we'll
happy to share with you.
So a little bit increase, and we'll see what happens with the potential or not rate cut coming in September. And rates right now are down about 0.5%-ish. They've been at I saw something recently that said their lowest point in 2 years.
Yep.
What, 6.5 or
About 6.5, which is a great.
ish.
It's a great rate, folks. It really
Yeah.
is. 1965 mortgage rates were 5%. So hey, measure that for inflation. We're probably paying less of an interest rate now. We've got 6.5% than you were paying at 5% before.
Right. And it's all about perspective, and we're going to get into some of the changes here, and I think there's been some fear in the market lately with and people just kind of holding on for a minute. I think we're going to see the home sales go up here pretty quickly. People are just kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with this NAR agreement, which was the National Associated Realtors, which is NAR, which we're going to talk about right now. So, for those of you that have been paying attention to the news, as of the 17th, so 2 days ago, these changes went into effect to the code of ethics, code of conduct, if you will, And Jeff has all the news right here, and we're going to talk about a lot of it right now. So stick around. And go.
All right. Hello. I guess I need a little bit more coffee here. I don't
Nice
know.
transition.
Clunk hit my head.
I look over, and he's just like,
I'm barely out of bed. Well, listen, let me just preface it with this. As a result of years of buyers, I guess, I don't even want to say it was a lot of buyers complaining, but, these attorneys grabbed a hold of a couple couples that felt that home prices were inflated because of the buyer's commission. I don't believe any of that. I will say this, that our police force, if you will, National Association of Realtors, I believe, and I might take some flack for this, but I don't care. I think they really let our industry down. They advocated poorly, I think, for really how the laws are going to actually integrate with the actual real estate transaction itself. It is going to be cumbersome. It is going to be awkward, and I don't believe it's going to really reduce buyer side commissions much at all, maybe half a point, but again, we're talking funny numbers because it's either built into the price or it's not built into the price. Buyers are either going to take it off the top of their offer if they have to pay the commission, or they're going to ask the seller through the purchase agreement to pay the commission. Now, what's really interesting is, as a result of this, National Association of Realtors has taken a lot of flack from the entire industry, a population of over 1 million some agents, to the point where there's a new association being formed on a national level. It's already formed. It's the American Real Estate Association. Membership dues are $20, and
it's significantly less.
It's significantly less by hundreds of dollars, and it is, well, I can tell you that there's going to be major transformation with our commissions, as we've seen, but there's also going to be major transformation in our upper leadership that controls our industry, because NAR has really not done, I think, an appropriate job for their membership base. Is well over a million some agents that are paying hundreds of dollars a year each in dues. Follow the money, folks. So that's my little talk on that. But there is a new National Association of Realtors. It's called the American Real Estate Association, and it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. How many people are going to actually be able to transition from the National Association of Realtors into the American Real Estate Association. It's founded by a guy up in LA, Umansky, I believe the guy's name is. So I wish him well. I really think it's time for a major disruption in our National Association of Realtors, our State Association of Realtors, our local Association of Realtors. Folks, we are just too top heavy as an industry. And what's happened is we ended up with a situation like this. So you're a home buyer now, and I've read headlines. Buyer's agent commissions are going away. No, folks, they're not. Okay, they're not going away. Commissions are going to be, commissions are going to be half of what they were. No, that's not going to be the case. It's been a lot of misinformation out there, so let me just try and break it down a little bit at a time and peel this onion as best I can. So in the past, any buyer could go to any open house. You'd go out there, walk around, take a look, walk into somebody's house, peek in the drawers and see whatever, and take a look at the house, and really that was it. Now, fast forward to 2 days ago. Where's that back forward?
I think that'd be
backwards.
backwards.
Backwards to 2 days ago. Now there's a form, and I actually had this in play yesterday. So it's called the Open House Visitor Non-Agency Disclosure and Sign-In Form.
Oh,
Repeat that. I'm going to quiz everybody at the end of this show.
It's too long.
Open House Visitor Non-Agency Disclosure and Sign-In Form. You have to have it signed by anybody that walks into your open house. Now, it's not a contract, but it does state that the agent does not represent the visitor. Unless otherwise agreed in writing, agent is not working with and has not entered into a representation agreement with visitor that would apply to the property. How's that for a warm howdy hi? Welcome to my open house. Sign this form.
Yeah,
and
and sign this form or you can't come in.
Right,
essentially.
I feel like the Gestapo.
Yeah.
Number 2, communication with agent at open house property tour for benefit of the seller. So whatever I say to you is not to your benefit. This is ridiculous. Thank you, NAR. All right, communication with agents are not confidential. Wonderful. If visitor writes an offer on the property through the agent, at that time agent will disclose if agent and agent's broker represent the seller exclusively or both the buyer or both the seller and the visitor. And a visitor wants to be represented by the agent holding the open house. Folks, this is just a joke.
so wait a second.
Yeah.
Let me stop you. So this is not create agency between you
Correct.
and the buyer.
Correct. Only that's still the BRE
Right.
only. Is my
Oh, it gets even worse.
Because I see chatter about that all over the place.
Yeah, no,
where
this
people
is
are
not
freaking out because they're
Nope.
gonna have to sign some buyer broker. This is not that.
NAR and the Department of Justice reached a settlement, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen when in terms of the logistics of implementing it in practical everyday life and selling or buying real estate. It just makes no sense. So you come into an open house. I had a woman say, "Oh, I don't want to sign this." I had to tell her, I said, "Well, ma'am, then I can't allow you to be a guest in this home and take a look at their home."
It is post August 17th. This is the new law.
Exactly. So she finally signed it, filled it out completely, and it was very nice, and I'll start harassing her with phone calls today, see if she wants to buy a house. But that's step one now. So you're a buyer, you want to buy a house, you have an option to go look on your own, go to open houses, sign the form. Now, the agent's going to talk to you about, well, let's get an agreement. Allow me to represent you in the purchase of your home. What are you willing to pay me?
Well, I just met you.
Exactly. What a wonderful conversation to have with the client. And that's just going to really be a dance that most agents are going to be so uncomfortable with. And I say that because of this, folks. And this is where experience matters. If you're somebody thinking about buying a home today, yeah, I'm going to put a shameless plug in here. Give us a call at the Realty Group at eXp Realty. Because, look, there is a process involved and your agent needs to know the process. Otherwise, it's going to be horrific, okay? Get with an agent, be it us or somebody else that has experience, that has tenure in the business, not just how long they've had a license. Because I have heard agents say, "Oh, I've been in business 20 years. Yeah, how many homes have you sold? 6, okay? I'd rather be with an agent that's been 1 year in the business and has sold 5 homes in that period of time than somebody who's been in the business 20 years, and I wonder what the hell are they doing? They haven't been in the business, they've only had a license. And that's where you really need to investigate and interview agents, guys like Jens, guys like Cody, guys like myself. Go with personal recommendation, because now you are hit with a slew of forms. So you come to the open house and you kind of like the agent. The next step is you have to sit down with that agent and go through a whole presentation. It might be standing up at the coffee shop, it might be in the front yard, or it might be in their office or in your home or whatever. But now you have to have a form called the Property Showing and Representation Agreement for up to 3 homes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they picked that number, what idiot
Well,
picked that number.
it's an arbitrary just amount. We gotta put some kind of limiter on this, so we'll pick 3, or we'll pick,
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, it's just crazy. And it talks about, okay, now you're gonna have to sign a form with an agent that you can unilaterally cancel just by dropping it off at their office, mailing it, just giving it to them, make it into a paper airplane and throw it to them. All right, because there's no proof of receipt needed. But that's the crazy thing. But there are cancellation rights, so you have to enter into an agreement with an agent to go look at homes. And you have to have your commission established with that agent on what you are willing to pay them. On $1 million house here in San Diego, it's a check for $25 grand at least. Are you willing to pay that agent $25,000 for the purposes of showing you and entering into the home, determining the price of what you should offer if you like the home, attending the inspections, attending the contingency removals, preparing all the documents, doing the property line research through the title companies? I mean, there is a bunch of stuff that a good agent, buyer's agent, will do, and they're certainly worth their compensation, but this has to be established now before you go out and look at any properties. In this case, you go from the open house one, you can go right into the up to 3 properties. If you're not sure, I guess, is why you would use this form. If you're not sure, you want to have a long-term relationship with that agent. But somebody help me out here, because you can cancel it at any time just by initialing on, 4C6. That's the line. That's how complicated these things are. So all you got to do is cancellation rights and notice effective upon receipt. Boom.
Right.
Turn it over and you were no longer obligated. However, this really is good. If they've shown you properties and you want to fire them, that's fine. Now you have to, sorry.
Wait.
Now you have to sign a form.
Wait, so as a listing agent,
Or you're
Am
screwing
I-
me up now.
We're
Go ahead.
only talking about buying right
Go ahead.
am
Right
I
here.
as when I call as, let's say, as a buyer's agent,
Right.
is the listing agent gonna assure that I have this thing signed and ready to go? Is that
I
part
think
of
they
this
would
process?
have to. I think it'd be just like.
We don't have to give it to the listing agent. We just have to turn it in when the deal goes into escrow.
Okay.
So Ipso facto, yes.
So use me for this process, cause I don't know how to use these forms.
Listen, a lot of people don't, probably including myself.
Everybody's learning. We're 2 days into this.
But let me say this, so you've worked with this agent who you don't really know. It's a dance, you're dating, you know, you might like him, you might not, I don't know. So we're kind of at like first base here. But the notice of broker involved property form comes into play after you fire somebody, the agent, you turn in your cancellation of the agreement, but they've shown you properties. Now they will create a list of those properties, and if you do buy any one of those, they're gonna get paid. So you have to turn this list in as well to the next agent you go on to work with. Okay, this is how convoluted it is. So they know that there's properties out there that you could buy that they wouldn't get compensated on. How wonderful is
So the
that?
buyer's gotta carry that form around with them
Yeah.
when they've canceled the.
Notifying new broker,
Correct.
if buyer intends to enter into a buyer rep agreement with another broker, buyer is advised to provide this notice to that broker. Failure to do so may obligate buyer to pay both broker and the other broker.
So you're gonna get hit with a double
Wow.
agency.
So
fee.
you're like
Yeah.
5%.
5% if you don't follow, if you don't dot all your T's and dot your
As
T's.
a
You know what
buyer.
I meant. Cross your T's and dot your I's.
Right, and I'll be honest with you folks, that's not gonna happen. Here's why. Well, no real estate company or no real estate agent is gonna go and spend the money. Number one, can they find an attorney to spend the money to sue a buyer for 25 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, spend 2 years in court, depositions, all that stuff. It's just not gonna happen. So there's no teeth in this. There's no reality, there's no consequence to this. And that's where I really have, you know, a rub with this whole thing is, this all sounds great, it's gonna be wonderful, it's gonna protect the buyer is now going to be able to determine what commission rate their agent is going to get. So on a $2 million house, we normally get 50 grand, I'm gonna look at you, hey Jens, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be great going out looking at homes. Now, it's gonna cost you, because my fee is $50,000 for a $2 million house, 2.5%, 2%, whatever it is. Are you okay with that?
For you, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is that gonna happen, folks? No. It might, but here's the thing, this is where the numbers get funny. They might go, yeah, I'll be happy to, I'll just take it off the price, so instead of offering 2 million, I'm gonna offer 1,950,000. Okay, cool. And then he's gonna pay my broker, and my broker's gonna pay me my commission. Here's what's most likely gonna happen. All the agents I've talked to hundreds of agents about this, not just in California, but throughout the country, and it's really looking like, okay, Jens, you wanna go look at some homes? Cody, you wanna go look at some homes?
I do.
You guys are a nice couple.
Thanks.
What I'm gonna do is have you sign a buyer broker agreement that you will pay me up to 2.5% commission for my services, my time, my expertise, my counsel, my wisdom, whatever. All right, but I'm also gonna write in the purchase agreement that the seller agrees to pay eXp Realty, Jeff Nunn, 2.5% of the purchase price as a concession of the sale. All right, the seller's gonna offer a concession, it's not a commission. Is it any different? Hell no. They just changed the word. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But the fact is, then the seller says, okay, fine, I'll pay that. Now my buyer, you guys, are relieved of your obligation to pay me the 2.5% because now I'm getting it from the seller. So who wins there?
Buyer.
How did the buyer win? Commission's still 2.5%.
Well, they passed the buck.
They pass the buck on to, and so who pays? And that's what's so funny about this. Who's really paying the commission, folks? Look,
It's gone in full circle.
don't get caught up in the weeds of this. It's dollars in, dollars out. You're either paying it directly to the broker and taking it off the price, or you're billing it into the price and the seller's paying it back to the brokers. I mean, where's the difference here?
It's the exact same thing as we've said
Right.
a couple episodes ago when we were kind of, I think we touched on this topic about a month ago or so. We said ultimately the only way this gets done is it's gonna have to eventually circle back onto the seller in one form or another.
It is. And
It's just the reality of it.
you know, it's not changing the landscape of things. What NAR and the Department of Justice wanted was what they call a decoupling of commissions. For the 45 years I have been selling real estate and managing agents that have been selling real estate in different markets throughout the country, it's always been the listing agent negotiated the fee they were charging the seller, which is typically 6%. In some markets, luxury markets, maybe 5%. But that was then up to the broker to decide if they wanted to share that commission with the buyer's agent or a buyer's broker. So we as buyer's agents could look in the multiple listing service and say, oh, I'll get paid 2%, I'll get paid 2.5%, I'll get paid 3%, I'll get paid 1%, whatever it was.
And it was right there on the
It
front
was,
page.
it was published and it was pre-negotiated, and the courts felt that buyers didn't have a say because buyers were paying the commission, which I totally disagree with. The buyers never paid a commission under that arrangement because the seller electively chose to take part of their proceeds that they had signed a contract with the listing broker to pay them out of their proceeds. So don't tell me a buyer's paid the commission. The seller electively decided to have that expense. I mean, it's like saying the seller went out and bought a boat with the proceeds and the buyer says, hey, I bought you a boat. Right?
Right.
I bought you a car because you went out and bought a car with the money that I gave you. No, stop it right there. That's crap. It doesn't frickin' work that way. And the beauty of it was we always knew and we were guaranteed what our commission was through the multiple listing service. Okay? That's gone. And that was the effect of this whole settlement, was the decoupling of commissions. Listing agents only negotiate the commission on their seller's behalf. Wrong. There's companies out there that are marketing the fact that they are negotiating the compensation for the buyer's agent, but to comply with the Department of Justice rules, they're just not putting it in MLS because MLS has removed the field, so they can't put it in there. There's no longer a field in our multiple listing service, which is our holy grail for real estate information, and that holy grail was the MLS in a field called Buyer's Agency Compensation, BAC, or whatever it was. Different MLSs call it different things. But the fact of the matter is I was guaranteed my commission by that. I never had to talk to a buyer about it, never had to negotiate with a listing agent about it at all. But now this has been decoupled. So now I have to establish my commission rate with my buyer, you two nice guys here, and determine what you're going to pay me. Because you'll have to pay me. Unless my negotiations fail with the seller, because I'm going to put it in the offer, seller agrees to pay eXp Realty, Jeff Nunn, 2.5% of the purchase price at time of closing. All right? Then the buyer's relieved of it. So where has anybody saved money? Yeah, maybe the buyer might hem and haw and say, well, I don't want to, I don't want to be on the hook for 2.5. I don't think the seller is going to pay 2.5. So, I might, allow you to negotiate your fee, up to 2% from the seller to relieve me of that. I can see some of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys?
Do you think there'll be a race to the bottom?
I
Do
don't.
you think there'll be agents coming out that'll be like, oh, I'll do it for $5,000?
Well, great question, because I've actually thought about that. I mean, you think about
Buyer's
it.
agents, I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I mean, I've thought about that because, look, folks, here's the reality of it. You get 10 real estate agents in the room in front of you. 8 of them have not had a sale in the last year. Almost positive. Almost positive. All right? So who are you dealing with out there? And I think the remaining 20% that, you hear the 80-20 rule, 80% of the business is done by 20% of the agents, is actually probably closer to 90-10 nationally. All right? And that's another problem we're not going to address today. But the fact of the matter is, you got everybody with misinformation thinking, I don't have to pay a buyer's agent commission. Well, okay, you don't, but who's going to work with you? And then you have a choice. You want to be represented or not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be represented, but that doesn't mean I won't get compensation, folks, because representation and compensation are two distinct different elements. Representation and compensation are two distinct different elements. I cannot represent you and still get paid. That's the way it is. So buyers coming to you as an agent saying, hey, you're the listing agent, I want you to, sell me the house, and I'm not going to pay you buyer's commission because you're already getting paid by the seller. Thank you for that kind offer, but no. I'm not going to take.
Because now you're asking me if I'm the selling agent and I'm setting up with my client 3% or whatever. Now I'm going to do double the. I'm not going to do double the work for the same money.
Right. And the fact is, I mean, you're not going to find agents. By and large, it's not going to be a race to the bottom in that regard, because the good agents are going to go, look, I can't take on the liability of a transaction without compensation.
No way.
So hold on.
Yo.
Jens and I are out looking for a house, right?
Yeah.
And you're the buyer's agent?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jens and I had a discussion, and we just don't feel comfortable going over 1.5% to you
Okay.
for showing us the property. So
Right.
we'll sign your form, but we're only gonna do 1.5. We discussed it, that's all the money we have.
Okay, now I have a decision to make whether I want to agree to that or let them go and not work with them.
And that's the whole thing of the race to the bottom. Is there going to be some other agent? I'll do it for 1.5%.
You know, you're right, and here's the thing,
I hope not.
you will get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation because, look, if I'm an agent out there, particularly in a high-priced market, and I'm not making any money,
You're not going
and
to
I
survive
haven't-
in that market.
you're not. And so if I have a chance on $1 million house to get a $5,000 check instead of a $25,000 check, and I do that twice a month, I made 10 grand that month, 120 grand a year. That's some cabbage. It's not great money, but that's certainly some cabbage. So I can see agents out there offering. I'll write any offer for 5 grand. I'll write any offer for 10 grand between this price range. All sorts of things are going to be evolving and flat fee brokerages as well. There's companies out there now just doing a flat fee thing. Let's throw it all into the mix. I'm all for anything, but just make it simple and make it fair and make it right.
So
And having
I
6 forms to sign having 6 forms to sign for a buyer is onerous, it's intimidating, it's wrong, it flies in the face of everything that I think is.
Especially with people that aren't going to be well versed in this. You get a first
Right.
time buyer coming out, they don't know, they
Right.
they might not even be aware of this whole thing. All of a sudden, here you go, here's this stack of paperwork.
Right.
Oh, you don't want to sign it? Okay, well, you can't come in and go to the next house.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so anti-real estate friendly,
so
it was a better way to do this whole thing.
pardon me, but I'm gonna go back to 1.5%. So
Okay.
Jens and I can only pay you 1.5%.
Right.
And for this, you don't wanna work with us, right?
Well, what I could do, I could also do this, I could say, look, if you're in agreement, if I can negotiate a higher amount with the seller, there's another form that you can sign
Okay.
to allow me to get more than what you're willing to pay.
Do you think there's gonna be agents out there, I mean, this is hypothetical, do you think agents are gonna actually say no to a buyer that is only capable of giving them, let's say a buyer's agent?
Mhm.
You say no, so I'll flip side of the coin, you say no to us at 1.5%, and I
Right.
say, I go find another agent. What's to stop me? I feel really discriminated, I thought you were a really good agent.
I am.
And now you're saying you won't help me buy a house?
That's well. I think you answered your own question in the fact that you say you're a really good agent. Well, if you're really good, maybe you don't do things for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
It's all about being
So
able
now I'm gonna
to,
sue you and your broker because you won't help me.
well, good luck, stand in line.
Yeah,
I think I've got a line down the street and around the corner.
I'm sorry, that was a little out
No,
of field, but
That's the questions we need to ask because this is the
That's
questions
a great
that's going to
question.
come up and this is the conversation that's going to happen on the front door. So
yes.
But look, here's the thing, you're not gonna go into an attorney's office and say, look, you have to represent me for $250 an hour, I know your normal fee is $700 an hour, but what, you're discriminating against me because you're not gonna represent me at $250 an hour? Yeah.
you're not going to sell me the Big Mac for $2 because that's what I have. No,
Yeah. So folks, I'd say don't panic, don't worry about it. I mean, there's easy exits and all this stuff. Point is, you have to, and look, nobody's ever died. Let me repeat that. Nobody's ever died by buying a house or signing real estate paperwork, okay? So it's not like a terminal death sentence here. We're making too much out of it, and I think we just have to, find an agent that you are comfortable with, knowing that you look at a few homes, you don't like the person, you sign the cancellation of that agreement, that's the first few homes, and then move on. Don't waste everybody's time. If you're uncomfortable with the agent, find another agent, that's cool. Some people enjoy working with us at the Men Realty Group, and I'm sure some people might not because we're very methodical, we're very procedural, we follow the process, we cross every T, we dot every I, and maybe we make it more of a deal than what it is, but I would rather do that than say, oops, I didn't know that. It's gonna cost you $10,000? Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not gonna hear that from us because we're not gonna put you in that situation. We're gonna make sure that you don't get into any trouble in the home buying process and you don't get stung with any extra bills, costs, fees, or anything like that. Give us a call. We'd be happy to explain the process. Be happy to explain the fact that we can show you homes. And yes, we do have to establish compensation before we go out. But at the same time, if after a few trips you don't like us for whatever, you sign the cancellation agreement, you move on. If any one of those homes you do want to buy later after you're working with your new broker, you know, we come back into the picture. But it's really isn't all that complicated. If you work with us, you're not going to have to pay out of your pocket for a buyer's agent commission because we're damn good at negotiating our compensation from the seller. And most listing agents, as it is, as much as they are not allowed to publish in the MLS the buyer's agent commission, they can negotiate it and just not publish it and say, yeah, we have a concession for 2% or 3% to the buyer, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be common.
I think that's
If you're
where this is gonna boil down to.
anyone that comes in with a listing that hasn't at least had that conversation with, you know, again, every single agent in the entire country has 2 days of experience with this whole process at this point. So
You're right.
everyone's is figuring this out, but
Yep.
I think sellers are still gonna look to maximize liquidity
of
and,
course.
and make compensation to a buyer.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, you know, potato, okay, I'm gonna either take a lower sales price, which will it save the buyer money? Well, no, because the only way I'm taking a lower sales price is because the buyer is paying what I'm lowering the sale price of my home to the buyer's broker.
Right.
Where's the buyer saving money there? You might be getting a house for less, but potato,
It's gonna save him what, $1.50 a month?
maybe, if
You know
that,
what
you know?
I mean? Like,
So don't make too much out of it. I hope you learned something from this. And again, if you have any questions, Cody, what's your number?
858-245-8813.
And Yen?
619-806-6593.
All right, or 858-602-8880. And by the way, if you're in Florida, in Sarasota, the same
That's
stuff's
true.
going on there. Our team's doing pretty good out there in Sarasota. I mean, the market is a little tough. It's in a little bit of a market correction, particularly in the Sarasota, Bradenton area.
They built so many houses in Florida and Texas.
And get a load of this, not to digress, but Governor DeSantis, if you own a condominium in Florida and you want to sell it, give us a call. Because he just made it in, I don't know if it's actual law or whatnot, but I believe it is that each condominium owner could be liable for up to $60,000 in a special assessment from their HOA for future hurricane
Proofing?
proofing.
Is that the word? Proofing?
Hurricane proofing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is right now. But yeah, think of that, I mean, you got $100,000, $150,000 condo, and you have to pay
Yeah.
$60,000 to your HOA to get the building up to hurricane standards. I mean,
That's gonna shatter Nanny McPhee's budget there.
who's Nanny McPhee?
The little old lady living in the condo that
Oh,
bought
yeah.
it for
Oh, yeah.
$1.50.
Everyone knows her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Old
there's,
Nanny.
yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I hope you got something out of that. Was that it?
I think
Okay.
I think we got a lot of
right.
information across.
Some ground.
I think it's just going to be people. Hopefully, they'll come to us with their specific questions, and we'll be able to help them out. And we will get this. Us and every other agent in the country will, you know, keep expanding on our 2 days of experience with this as we move forward here. So, give us a call. You can always contact us at viewthehoyahouses.com as well. So, thank you very much, folks. We hope you have a good day and tune in next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.